Really quick thing I'm going to throw in here because I went through and rebuilt all of this about, that very similar way. If you do want to do it a little bit differently, this may interest you. You can use panel loops to go ahead and start slicing up your mesh in a way that might be a little bit easier for you. So what I'm going to do is hit Control W, then to make all one polygroup for visible with nothing masked. Control Shift, go into our slice curve here. Actually, you know what? Control Shift, grab our select rectangle, hit X to go out of X symmetry, start dragging, hold down Alt, and then do a quick geometry modify topology delete hidden. Now what I'm going to do is line this camera up, hold down Control Shift, go into my slice. I'm just going to start slicing some polygroups here. I'm going to double tap, or move my space bar to move it, or hold my space bar to move it around. Double tap, tap once again. Go ahead and slice that here. And then we got the back of the boot here, so I'm going to hold down, actually, that's fine. I'm going to hold down Control Shift, isolate this one, Control Shift, and then Alt Tap, and then slice the back of the heel off there where I want it sliced. Control Shift to bring everything back. Now this very bottom, I want to go ahead and make a polygroup. So I'm going to hold down Control and start masking. And you're going to see as I'm masking, it's going to go across that line there. If I open up my depth menu here, I can turn on depth mask, bring this bottom one all the way up, not quite to 0, but a very small value inner depth. And now as I get towards that edge, I'm sorry, I did that with my standard brush select, so I'm going to turn off depth mask. Hold down Control, turn on depth mask, bring this bottom one up, and then as you're getting towards that edge, it's going to maintain a little bit better that edge selection there, so you can kind of paint right up to that edge. And if you want to, you can go ahead and save that. I have those saved out as mask convex and mask concave. That was from Joseph Drust's Pixel Logic. Anyways, that's just a quick way to mask those edges out. And then hold down Control Alt and tighten those up. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you can hit Control W, make that a polygroup, and then Control Shift. And then you might be going like, what? Where is he going with all this? You'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and mask out this little area here. Hold down Control Alt, unmask. Control Alt Tap to tighten that up. Control W, make that a polygroup. And now you're going to see I have some stray groups in there. So I'm going to go to my polygroup menu here, and then I'm going to do merge stray groups. And if that didn't quite work, all I have to do is hover over a face with my Z modeler brush. I'm going to do polygroup, a single poly. Hover over a polygroup I want to steal, tap, and then hit Shift to inherit that polygroup, and then just go through here and then polygroup all these ones you want to have polygroup together. Tap, hold down Shift. You're going to tap Shift, and that'll inherit that polygroup, and now you can go through here and clean up your polygroup. So again, doesn't have to be perfect, but get as close as you can. So now with all these different polygroups here, what I can now do is go into my deformation, and you know what, let's go ahead and slice the top of that boot just really quickly. And instead of slicing, what I'm going to do is hold on Control Shift. I'm going to do a trim. What that's going to do is slice, delete everything that's above it, and then close the hole. So if I do that, that'll go ahead and trim that off as well as fill that hole with a different polygroup. So with all those different polygroups selected, I can go down here to Polish by Features. Now with Close Circle and Polish by Features, that's going to polish, and then a feature is actually a polygroup, so it'll actually keep those polygroup edges nice and crispy, but it'll maintain my volume. If I don't really care about my volume that much, I can turn Open Circle and then do a Polish by Features, and that'll just really, really polish those groups down. So now with those polished, I can go through here and kind of clean up these edges just a little bit if I want to. And now what I can do is I can try, and you see it kept these nice and sharp too. I can also go in here to Z-Remesher, turn on Keep Groups, and then my adaptive size, I'm going to turn it down, so maybe a very low 0 or a low number. Hit Z-Remesh, and that'll go ahead and give me pretty decent Z-Remesh geometry. I can actually try and do half and see if that gives me decent. Not too bad, but this is a little bit better, I think. Now at this point, you could do a subtool split, group split. It'll split all of your polygroups into their own subtool, and then you can use Z modeler to go and give these things thickness, as well as if you go down here to geometry, we'll go into edge loop here, and you can do panel loops. If you want to see more information on panel loops, go to Pixel Logic Classroom. I did a panel loops video for them. I've done a panel loops video for my Intro to ZBrush series, so you can check that out. But just really quickly, I'm going to change my elevation to -100. I'm going to do a number of loops down to like maybe 2. Change my bevel profile. I'm just going to drag these out and then make these meet halfway, and then turn polish down to 0, change my thickness a little bit, hit panel loops, And you're not gonna see much of a change here, but I've hold down Control Shift and tap a polygroup, and then do Control Shift A, which is under Visibility, Grow All. What that does is grow all of the vert welded pieces. You're going to see now I have this entire piece already with thickness and different polygroups here. So if I hold down Control Shift and then isolate this bottom one, now this one's going to be all isolated, and you don't really want a separate piece for that. So I might avoid doing that, doing the panel loops here. And in this case, I might just do it manually. So I'm going to hold down Control Shift, isolate that, and then do a split hidden, which would be under your split menu here. So I'm going to split hidden this one, and then Alt tap this one, Control Shift, isolate that, split hidden. Now I've got this piece right here, so I can go into solo mode here. I'm just going to do a quick geometry, modify topology, close holes. Let's go ahead and close the holes there. And it looks like I got this top piece too. I don't really need that, so I'm going to hold down Control Shift, select rectangle, hold down Alt, and then do a quick geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. Now I've got this piece here, so now I can go in here and do a QMesh, polygroup all. If it ever does, like, oh, why didn't it do it? It probably brought your geometry back. Do a quick geometry, modify topology, delete hidden, and now it'll work fine. And then go to your display properties at the very bottom of your tool menu, hit flip, which we've done numerous times, because you see I do a lot of Z modeling where I pull inwards. And then same thing here. Looks like I have to delete hidden again. There we go. Pull that in, and then again, flip. Yay. So now I can go through here if I want to, and I can, use my standard brush to kind of bulge that out around the foot. So there we go. We have nice remodeled parts. So in lieu of going here and using topology to get your pieces, you can also use Z remesher.